don't hesitate to put something on Facebook. Any comments for Inspector Bill? He's happy to answer any comments either now or later. We can always post them on the Facebook page later on.
Sure.
So, I mean, just to sort of talk a little bit more about after events, it was shocking what we saw on TV, and it was just horrendous to see the scenes on Westminster Bridge. And I think as a nation we were all upset about it. But then I think the media cottoned onto one picture of a lady with a hijab who sort of was walking away like this as if she wasn't really interested. And I think that was, again, a misrepresentation which she's actually come out and stated, correct me if I'm wrong, that she actually asked the injured if they needed any help. She phoned home to tell her mother that she was fine, and she assisted in taking people across to the Westminster Hospital. But that part was not highlighted in the media. Are the media guilty of portraying the wrong information in many cases and upsetting and causing instances of hate and Islamophobia?
Well, I think that image with the text on it, some people are concerned, I think it was something like that, was very cleverly worded but very insidious. Its message, wasn't it? It was a very kind of deliberately, I guess, provocative, really, in a way, wasn't it? But at the same time, there wasn't anything overtly racist in it. No. And I think that's what made it so insidious, because it was taking a snapshot of a dynamic incident and trying to represent it to the world that this young woman didn't care. When I'm sure you think of the thousands of images that were taken on that day, you would have seen a whole load of people in complete shock who were stood around not knowing what to do or ringing loved ones, and that wouldn't have been representative of them either. So it was. I think it was. A damaging image. I agree, and I'm glad that the lady was located and came out with her account, and the photographer came forward as well. Didn't need to verify that. I think it shows how we need to be critical of social media, not just accept everything that's presented to us. Critical thinking, I think, is vital, not just for adults but for young people as they come up fed a diet of images on their phone. Often can be very emotive and seeking to provoke a response. So I think the social media side is different, obviously, to mainstream media. Mainstream media, I understand the concerns over representation of Islam, and the fact that somebody's faith is immediately referred to, in the sense that Jimmy Savile, probably the biggest abuser we've ever had, is his faith even known? I don't think it's even known, is it?
No.
It's not relevant. But there is a particular narrative that is pervasive that highlights somebody's faith if they're Muslim. We had an event just before Ramadan last, where we had a group. It's not a group at all. It's a government organisation called IPSO, the Independent Press Standards Office, who came and gave a talk at the Central Mosque to a group of people from the community, and you can imagine it was very well attended. And they talked about the remedies that you can have to get papers to address misrepresentation. So an example being the story that appeared in The Sun just after I think it was the Hebdo attacks, when there was a claim that 1 in 5 Muslims supported ISIS, which was a wholly misrepresentative.
Front page headline news.
Exactly. And unfortunately, that's what people remember, isn't it?
Well,
they don't remember the retraction that's so big.
Yeah, I mean, this is a shame when you have papers like The Sun and others. You have to read between the lines, really, to look at journalists which are not there for sensationalism, but reporting the truth. And that's becoming harder and harder nowadays, to get those sort of journalists on board, because only bad news sells news. Good news doesn't sell news. You're not going to report something positive and good. No one's interested in that nowadays.
And also, I think there's a trend that's been around for probably decades now of newspapers are less about news and more about opinion, as the 24-hour news cycle dominates the actual supply of news.
Agreed. Okay, anybody listening out there, can we have some feedback? There's nobody here at the moment on Facebook to pass a message or question on. This is your opportunity to speak to Inspector Bill Knopp from Leicestershire Constabulary. Any questions you may have, feel free to put them on Facebook, or you can ring in on the telephone line on Leicester 4622506. I know a lot of people tend to sort of listen and look at this Facebook post after the event and share it, but please feel free to share it now and encourage your friends and colleagues. We're here for a few more minutes, so we're happy to take any calls and answer any questions you may have, either on the prevent strategy or what's happening with the way the media is portraying Islam, and any questions about the terrorist activities that have gone on recently. Naturally, we're all upset about it, irrespective. So it's something which we share as a commonality here. So we have to sort of minimize this activity now. Inspector Bill's already said there are elements in this where you can actually report anonymously if you feel that there's any activity going on which could be heading towards this sort of terrorist activity. And it's important to feel that you shouldn't hide these. It's important to come out. I mean, I myself work in prisons, and I've seen sometimes many of the reverts, I have to say, who are just very, very active and aggressive in how they're talking to me and their attitudes. And you know, sometimes I think, should I be explaining their outpourings to the head of healthcare, because there is risks there as well. But I think there's breeding grounds all over the place wherever you look, and it's something that we need to look at really as a whole community and find out we can minimize these things in the future. I mean, at the moment it's still a very current and hot topic, but is there anything else that you need to discuss or talk about today, so we can mention to the public?
Yeah, there's two kind of key messages that I'd want to get across. Is if people see things suspicious, if people have concerns, they need to ring us. We are living in challenging times, and we will deal with things sensitively. We're not going to storm around and kick every door in. We will assess information, but there tends to be, from research of other terrorist events, there tends to have been what we would call a bystander, or one or more bystanders. So by that I mean somebody who that person has indicated their intent to in some shape or form. So it might be kind of alluding to what they're doing, or it might be discussing weapons and that kind of thing, but there will be somebody who has stood by and thought, I'm worried, but hasn't done something, hasn't taken that step to alert the authorities. My appeal is, if you have those concerns, you can't wait. That things are too serious, and we owe it to our communities to keep our communities safe and cohesive. And the second bit is from my day job isn't about investigating terrorist offences. It's about long before that, trying to prevent them in the first place. So at a far kind of lower level, if you have concerns over a young person or a vulnerable person that who is expressing views that concern you, then you need to again pick up the phone and talk to us, because we're not about arresting people. We don't charge people and put them before the courts. We work with social workers, we work with the health service, we work with mentors from various faith backgrounds who can help and support people and give them a bit of context around some of the things that they're feeling and the anger that they're feeling, because there are lots of confused and angry people, young people. I mean, part of that is growing up, isn't it? And
sure,
a lot of teenagers go through that stage, but we can give that support and help them through that period. And just to be clear, Prevent is there for all forms of extremism. I know it's very much keenly felt by the Muslim community, but we are there for far right issues, all kind of faith issues that we will deal with, animal rights, but the key ones for me in Leicester and Leicestershire are far right and Islamic concerns that get brought forward. So, please be rest assured that we deal with all forms impartially, because they all have the potential to end in tragedy.
True. I think it's been a very enlightening experience here talking to you, Inspector Bill Knopp from Leicestershire Constabulary. I think we've covered most of our points in a fairly short period of time. I was hoping for a little bit more interaction, but I think a lot of people in Leicester have not adjusted to the change of the clock.
That's it.
Everything is, I don't know about you, but putting the clocks forward 1 hour has affected me.
There's always one clock you forget.
And if you're a Liverpool fan, you'd want to turn the clock back 30 years. That's another story, though. Okay. So once again, I'd like to personally thank Inspector Bill Knopp for coming on to the show.
Thank you.
Super good to have you on board, and nice to know that you're working on behalf of the community, and we value your experience and your expertise and assistance in any of these matters. And as Inspector Bill said, you can contact him through any portal. If you do have any concerns in the first instance, you may want to go through Tell Mama, but you can rest in the knowledge that he's working for us on our behalf, and we're trying to minimize any risk of terrorism. If you do have any suspect incidents you may want to report, you can report them anonymously, and that's the important issue, the take-home message today.
Yeah.
And just to end on a light note, I think I was watching this video. Trevor Noah, he's a comedian in South Africa, and he turned around at the end of his little comic phase, and he turned around and said, if the Muslims wanted to kill us, we would all be dead by now. They would put something in the burgers that we have on the way home from the pub. So there we are. This is it. I think we all need to live together as a cohesive community, and I think Leicester is a very good model for that, I'm pleased to say. But obviously anything happening on a national scale impacts on the way we feel, and we mustn't feel isolated. We're here as a whole community, and we need to work together to stamp out any of these incidents, I think. And the current incident, let's hope it's the last one, but you never know. You have to really be on your toes and be guarded. I think that's the important take-home message as well. And if you see anything, don't be hesitant in reporting it. So thank you very much for listening and tuning in. Any questions that do arise, I'll make sure that Bill gets them from me. I'm sure he'll leave me his contact details. But thank you very much for listening in, and we've had a good 40-45 minutes discussing current events. Good to have you on. Hopefully have you on some other time again.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Super. Bring this down.
عليل ما لقى الناس طباب شفني على حطة يدك شاري ومزوح قلبي كبير وللعذول متنبه إن جيتني يا مرحبا بك ومسموح وإن صد قلبك سمح الله دربه شفني على حطة يدك شارع ومزوح قلبي كبير وللعذول متنبه إن جيتني يا مرحبا بك ومسموح وإن صد قلبك سمح الله دربه رسول الله رسول الله رسول الله رسول الله رسول الله ربنا وبالإسلام أحيانا وعلمنا بأن نبقى لدين الله أعوانا تجمعنا بنور هداه إخوانا خلانا